So, this deck is basically Storm, where you cast a bunch of spells in one turn and win the game. Except that it's not really Storm, there's no Storm cards, and you don't really need to cast everything in one turn. So, it's more like eggs, maybe? You're casting a bunch of artifacts, and the artifacts are drawing some cards, and it's not really like eggs, because you're not cracking them and you're not getting them back, so maybe it's more like Mystic Forge. Mystic Forge is an artifact where you cast a bunch of artifacts off the top of your deck, which is exactly what this deck does, and then it wins the game, eventually. But nobody likes Mystic Forge, so no. Maybe it's like Citadel. Citadel, we do use an artifact that deals lots of damage to win the game, but we don't pay life, and we don't use Citadel. So, is it really Citadel? Maybe it's just a unique deck. That's not really true either. It's basically just an amalgamation of all of them. But Storm's the coolest, so I'm going to call it Storm. And because the main engine of the deck is the Reality Chip, it is Reality Chip Storm! Woo! That core card, the Reality Chip, is an equipment artifact creature that you can attach to a creature to allow yourself to play lands and cast spells from the top of your library. Basically a future sight, although only you get to see the top of your library, which is cool. Now to use this to cast your entire library, you need some help from some extra cards, and those cards are Meria, Scholar of Antiquity, and Enthusiastic Mechanaut. Meria allows you to tap your artifacts for mana, and also use your artifacts to exile the top card of your library and play it, which can let you clear lands as well as act as a sort of reality chip. And Enthusiastic Mechanaut makes your artifacts cost less, which allows you to cast them for cheaper or freer, which makes Meria make mana instead of just recouping it. Now the payoff for the deck is Dragonspark Reactor. So as we cast lots of artifacts, we get charge counters on this that build up and up and up, and then we shoot it all off at once to deal damage to our opponent. Just like that. So some new cards from the Brothers War that are really nice for the deck are these guys. They allowed you to draw your cards, clear the top lands of your library, or just accelerate you a little bit. And some other cards we have here, and here's the deck list. That'll be in the description. Now onto some games. So in these matches, we're mostly going to be doing the same thing over and over and over again, and that thing is trying to assemble the core, Reality Chip, Meria, and preferably an Enthusiastic Mechanaut, and then cast a bunch of spells and win with the Dragonspark Reactor. But it's not, we know the destination now. Now it's more about the journey. So how do we get there? We start by casting a bunch of these little idiots that draw us cards, and we get to here, and then we get Wrathed. After getting Wrathed, I guess from now we need to try to find those cards again and start to rebuild. I also wanted to quickly look at some numbers from Untapped.gg. I have played 11 games with the deck, gone 6-5 for a 55% overall win rate, and I'll also say that I played another 6 games in the play queue, and in those games I went 3-3 I believe, so that's a total of 17 games played with about a 50% win rate, so, you know. Okay, so now we're getting to the point where we've got Meria on the board, can play the Reality Chip, now that we've got lots of mana thanks to Meria. And here I decide to equip the Reality Chip in case of another Wrath or a removal spell in the Reality Chip. And Meria is great for that. It taps the Reality Chip for a mana, taps some other stuff, and then you just need one more blue mana to equip. And then there you go. Start casting spells from the top of our deck. Our opponent is going to, get to do some cool stuff by attacking. And they're going to make a pretty dang big board, but we're also going to get to cast a lot of spells here. Tapping stuff, drawing cards, having a bunch of dead draws on top of the library. That's okay. We will play through it. keep on rolling, just keep on rolling. Yeah. So the deck does feel pretty nice to play. You do get to take a lot of damn actions like this, where you're casting a lot of spells. You know, if Magic is a zero-sum game in terms of fun, well, you get to take a lot more actions, so that's a lot more fun. So even if you lose, you're having fun, which means you're always winning, right? I guess. Anyways, here I use the Ninja's Kunai to hit the Angel so that it can't remove a counter and can't draw an extra card. I'm hoping to potentially avoid some kind of farewell sweeper, something like that. They do find a sweeper, but luckily it only destroys creatures, so our reality chip sticks around. And the owl finds the Wandering Emperor. But with the Meria that we drew, we can just go right back to it. Start casting spells again. And yeah. The deck does feel decently resilient. Even though we're only at 3 life, we've got a pretty good shot at this game. Can play through a few Wraths. There's not many Wraths that hit all of these back row things, so as long as you've got a Meria or a reality chip in your back pocket, especially a Meria, you can keep going, play through a bunch of stuff, which is nice. Also, these games are really long, which helps that I have sped up it by 400%, and they are still long games. Okay, here's the combo turn. Let's see if I can commentate everything at 4 times speed in real time. So, the Saren Steel Seeker is drawing our lands off the top of the library. We have 3 Dragonspark Reactors down that are each getting counters every time we play spells. Play an Enthusiastic Mechanaut. Use Meria, tap 2 things. Channel the mana into the mana rock thingamajig. You can play the reality chip, which gets legend rule. Keep the one that's attached to Meria. Brick on a land. You unearth the Scrapwork Mutt to clear the land. Draw the land with the Saren Steel Seeker. Draw another card with the Mutt. Make some mana to cast the Enthusiastic Mechanaut. Now we have 2 Enthusiastic Mechanauts. Makes the 2 mana artifacts spells cost 0. Courier's Briefcase off the top. Get some more spells. Scrapwork Mutt. Another draw. Another land clear. Free off the top. Making mana with Meria. Play the Energy Refractor thingy to draw the Saren Steel Seeker so that we don't have to pay mana for it. Bend the Meria because we don't need it. Play the Reality Chip using blue off the Courier's Briefcase. The Saren Steel Seeker draws another card. Sentinel Stalwart off the top, tapping a card from Meria. See 1 more land, I believe, on the top of the library. Play another Reality Chip. Saren Steel Seeker will clear the land. Legend rule the Reality Chip, because that's our last card in the deck. I choose to keep the Reality Chip that's a creature, because there's no point in having it attached anymore. So, we draw a last card with Saren Steel Seeker and use the Dragonspark Reactor. Notably, the Dragonspark Reactor does not have to tap to activate its ability. Meria can tap lots of artifacts to cast it, which is unfortunately very slow because you have to tap each one of them individually, although when you start casting it, you get to not have to click Meria each time. But we have 22 damage on the Dragonspark Reactor. Opponent thinks about it a little bit and takes the damage for game. Woo! And there we go. Not bad. Not bad. Alright, second game. Yes, I should mention that I am doing games with this instead of matches. Matches are, maybe a better test of skill, but the format is incredibly young. I took the footage for these to the day it dropped, at least released on Arena, and the day after it released on Arena. In that time, I do not expect a developed metagame to form and to be able to make a sideboard with any kind of precision. I would be random. The metagame would not be we would not be able to make a sideboard that is appropriate for the metagame because we don't know what the metagame is. I guess under the assumption that, Brothers War just came out and there's lots of artifacts, maybe there would be lots of artifacts, in which case you can play some shatter effects in the sideboard. There should probably be a Beseiju in the main deck instead of a Force. You can play a Braid in the sideboard. Braid also works to deal with potentially unfortunate creatures. Or it can deal with big artifacts, so it sort of serves some nice flexibility in the sideboard slots if that's a problem. Here I run in, I think that I'm able to try to take down this Haughty Djinn, which is going to do a lot of damage because that's how these mono blue decks basically win. Unfortunately, I get to the 4th counter by unearthing the combat courier, so I have to fire off the Dragonspark Reactor right there, and unfortunately they have a shore up. So, and then I flip the Delver of Secrets on the next turn. So that's unfortunate. But we still got a Meria, we still got 2 Enthusiastic Mechanauts, it's not too bad. We might be able to win this game. If we were to sideboard for this mono blue deck, what would we bring in? Honestly, I'm not sure. You definitely don't want to bring in any counter spells, although you wouldn't bring those in for mono blue anyways. But counter spells are especially bad in this type of deck because you're trying to cast everything off the top of your library, and if you run into a counter spell, it's just another uncastable spell similar to a land. And so you'd really rather not draw that. Although this deck, I guess, does have some draw spells to maybe be able to get the counter spells. Here, I double block with the Enthusiastic Mechanauts. Unfortunately, my opponent shore-ups, which will make it so that the Djinn would live. So I have to fire off the Ninja's Kunai in addition to blocking with both of the Mechanauts to be able to finally kill the Djinn. So hopefully I'll be able to convert this to a win from there. Gonna try to cast as many spells as we can. We do finally hit the reality chip. Think about not casting the reality chip, but it's going to get exiled if I don't, and our opponent could not counter it because we did have 2 Sentinel Stalwarts that could have paid for the Myctus Spear. Anyways, you were to sideboard for mono blue. Honestly, probably just try to win more. Having more creatures to deal damage would probably be one of the better way to win. Some way to deal with flyers might be good, some way to deal with big creatures, not entirely sure what those are. Maybe some bounce spells out of blue. Maybe something like the Geist Trap that bounces a non-land permanent, and if you controlled the non-land permanent, you draw the card. That might be good. I mistap my mana and then don't actually kill the Djinn, but I'm still dead to the flipped Delver of Secrets. So, oh well. Alright, here we have another game against Mono Black. Yeah, what more can I say about the deck? It does play pretty well. The Ninja's Kunai are a bit weird. They're convenient for having a removal spell that you can use in the sort of early game. It's 3 total mana to use the Ninja Kunai, which isn't awful. 3 mana for 3 damage to any target, including face. Is not a terrible rate for a colorless spell. Obviously we're playing red, so you would hope that you would get better rate than colorless for your damage, but Ninja Kunai does have the added benefit of being an artifact, being castable for free off of 1 Enthusiastic Mechanaut, not requiring huge mana dumps in any given time. It's not the worst card. here we're getting kind of low. Our opponent's killing stuff, morbid opportunists, and Shieldred is pinging us for some damage, which is not fun. I use Meria here to exile the Meria so we don't have to draw it and can potentially find more useful things. Equip the reality chip so that we can start going off. Unfortunately, with that mutt, we want to be able to draw off of it, and Shieldred is gonna kill us, so we're gonna kill the Shieldred, and once she's dead, it is off to the races. Yeah, races are good. We're just gonna cast as many spells as we possibly can here and hope that we get there. Our opponent is at 29 life, and we haven't been building up a Dragonspark Reactor, unfortunately, so it's actually gonna get kind of close even with all these creatures here. Now our opponent has this Flesh Gorger that's a 5/3 lifelinker. Yeah, it definitely can attack into that, so even if we cast literally every spell in our library this turn, I don't think we'd be able to win this turn. Although we do have to stop eventually anyways, just because it lands. So our opponent attacks in, plays another Shieldred. Oh gosh. But we do have a Dragonspark Reactor that has built up a few counters, so we actually can clear the Shieldred relatively painlessly. There we go, we can get back to it. So with that, might have been too quick, but that land there on the library is actually the last card in the deck. That is one card left, so we are declining all of these Saren's Steelseeker triggers so that we have one card left, because these Dragonspark Reactors that we have are not enough to deal lethal right now. So instead, we're just going to attack for some damages. We're going to lose some things, but that's a sacrifice that I'm willing to make. I decided to clear one of the creatures. This was probably a bad decision, but it's a decision that I made. Hoping our opponent doesn't have a Wrath here. They attack in with the Flesh Gorger, draw a card, and it's just another Flesh Gorger, which is another lifelinker. The Jadar and no Wrath means that we can unearth some stuff, get some extra triggers. All the triggers. And go to combat and attack with all of our duders. Our opponent's gonna make some blocks. And that is enough for them to explode. Huzzah! Alright, do I have anything more to say, or am I just gonna keep on blathering? I don't think so. I've said my piece. Add a sideboard if you want to play a best of 3. Try not to play counterspells. If you do, it's not the worst thing in the world. Yeah. Sideboard would probably be removal for aggro matchups. Small aggressive creatures for slower matchups, and vehicles. Vehicles are good too, because they can survive wraths and things like that. Reckoner Bankbuster can draw cards, and Unlicensed Hearst can deal with graveyards and get big over the course of several turns, and again survive wraths, which is good. So yeah, I'll let you guys just listen to some music and enjoy the rest of the gameplay. Doodles!
With crimson secrets and forbidden bliss, can't stay still, don't stop that thrill. My bones crave your skin, temptation within, mistakes ignite the silence. Nightmares creep while you and me repeat. This bittersweet heat is suffocating. I'm waiting and always hesitating. Kryptonite desires set my